Good day, children. This is Miss Timby, your social studies teacher, and this is your social studies lesson. We are resuming from our textbooks, which is for a better world, and the work will come from pages 63 and up to 68. This work will be from chapter 4, where we are learning about concepts and issues. And for lessons 1 and 2, this week we'll be looking at communities and culture. In this lesson, we're going to learn about what a community is. We'll also learn about culture and the elements it involves, such as values, norms, and artifacts. The vocabulary or the important words for this lesson will be community, culture, values, norms, and artifacts. Looking at community, we first have to define what a community is. A community can be described as a group of people who live in the same area and share the same amenities. So take, for example, a smaller scale of a community is your family. You live in a family unit, whether with mom and dad, or maybe your mom and a couple of other siblings. Maybe you'll have your aunties and your uncles and your grandmother. That's a small community on its own. On a grander scale, the people who live on the same street as you also form part of your community. Maybe as a community on that level, the people you share a street with, you have a rule that maybe your refuse or litter should be taken out on Friday morning at 8. So a community has culture and traditions, and its people are called citizens and can be grouped into tribes. So what that means is that communities have cultures, which are ways of being, and those ways usually determine how those people interact and engage with each other. And they can be grouped into tribes. Sometimes the tribes are based on the language that people speak in common. So maybe take, for example, here in the Arab world, you have different dialects or versions of the language Arabic. Some can understand each other, some have words that mean different things. Much like English, you'll find that there's American English and there's British English, where if we compare them, in America, they call fries, well, made from potatoes, they call them fries, and in England, the same thing would be called chips. Okay, communities also differ in size, and there are different kinds of communities. Culture can be defined as a people's way of living in a certain community, which I've mentioned in the previous slide. It includes aspects of people's lives such as knowledge, beliefs, religion, art, morals, etc. If you remember, when we did the Arab world once again, we know that there's knowledges that are shared in the Arab world that are common amongst its people, and they share the same beliefs and the religion, which are mostly Islamic. And they have some art. Art differs per community. So art would be things like what they paint or what they make, what they're renowned for making. And the morals include ways of being and things that they deem important, or standards that they want to uphold and they see and perceive as good. So culture consists of the 3 elements, namely values, norms, and artifacts. Now let's look at those in detail. Values. Values can be defined as standards that are worthy of upholding and good, such as honesty, equality, and mercy. So we look at these things, and I think most of these are shared by most communities. The value of honesty, being always to tell the truth and being helpful in some other communities, is valued. Equality, where we see each other as equals, and mercy, showing kindness towards one another. So those are things that form part of culture, and they define how we uphold standards of being. Now, for norms. Norms can be defined as standard expectations of behavior in various situations. Like, say, for example, how we line up at the school to go anywhere. That is a norm. And at the tuck shop, it's also a norm to line up. And cutting the line can be considered rude because all these people have been waiting for a service, and if you want to cut the line, you think your time is important than all the other children who've been patiently waiting to get served. Right. Folkways are also norms or routines that are traditional behaviors of a society. Like, say, for example, how in China, some people do not give clocks or watches as presents because they believe that you're giving someone less time to live. So the gift of time is not necessarily considered a gift because it lessens from the time that you have. That's what they believe anyway. Now for artifacts. Artifacts are objects of art or workmanship made by humans based on their culture, such as pottery, jewelry, and tools. In the picture we have here, you can see there's some pottery and there's a coin. So that's an artifact from a people or a culture in the past. So consider artifacts like fossils for history, for human history. So as those are things that are found that tell a story about a people or a culture. So you'll find things like cups, plates, vases, coins, certain types of tools, water bearers, and the likes. Right, that's the end of our lesson for today, for the week actually. In summary, what community do you live in? Do you know? What is your culture? What are some of the important values and norms in your culture? I'll also be uploading supporting worksheets on Edmodo for those of you without books. And I will be expecting to hear from you. Don't be afraid to message me on my private message box where I'll be receiving your work as well. Thank you.